The common raven. One of the most majestic and intelligent flying vertebrates there is. Referred to as bird of the gods by ancient civilizations, they are a symbol of both wisdom and death. They can be seen hunting with wolves, where the raven flies up to find prey. The wolves feed off the animal, and the ravens take the remains. They can even make tools like spears and hooks they use to hunt insects. Atop a roof on which it stands in the deadliest dimension in Minecraft, a representation of the cleverness and darkness associated with the raven. I present to you Raven's Coffin.
I'm sending a raven with blood on its wings, hoping it reaches you in time, and you know what it means. It's out here in the darkness and out of the light. If you get to me too late, just know that I tried. I'm so far from home, so far from home. Not where I belong, not where I belong. I'm so far from home, so far from home.
In order to build into the future, we need to reflect on the past.
I've always liked to play with fire.
We were playing in the sand, and you found a little band. You told me you fell in love with it, hadn't gone as I planned. When you had to bid adieu, said you'd never love anew. I wondered if I could hold it and fall in love with it too. You told me to buy a pony, but all I wanted was you.
Hell's Tomb. My first nether prison. What I thought was going to be my masterpiece. It was a good beginner prison, but good isn't good enough. There are multiple flaws in the prison's construction and many ways to break in from the outside. Even though the walls are quote-unquote compact, digging in from the side is very easy. This also means that digging in from the top is very easy, since you can just dodge the roof alarm by going around through the walls. There's no alarm in the floor, and the pro-glitching defense is far from unbypassable. If you get to the mid portal through the visitor process, you can follow the redstone line directly into the guard area. If you get to the inside portal, you can get to the guard area through this redstone line. The Elder Guardian boxes, which look super fucking ugly anyways, didn't even work. There's not even an auto panic system, so you can just use the CPI to chunk bend the guards, then do whatever you want to the prison from there, like for example, dig straight up into the cell. Or you can just dig straight up into the cell anyways. What's stopping you? A chunk bend? There are none. Yet still, for the first few escapes of the prison, I found a way to rationalize how they are invalid. Maybe the guards would hear them, or they would be watching through a composter glitch and would activate an alarm that does nothing. And for the first two escapes, I insisted that the escapes were invalid. I succumbed to something that pretty much every prison maker faces. The thin veil of your masterpiece's untouchability coming off, and you realizing that something you spent over a month on wasn't good enough. In my last video, I went over some of the pros and cons of building a prison in the Nether, but I'm afraid this list has to be updated. Raven's Coffin is surrounded in millions of anvils for wither protection, which is not only easier to implement, but more effective, so a water and lava defense isn't needed. Cobble generators, or any type of moving cell for that matter, isn't necessary to prevent block breaking, but I'll get into that later. The portal linking range also now doesn't matter, because you can enter through this one portal in the overworld and you're in the prison. The reason why this works is because if the guard doesn't let you in, you'll be sent to a chunk ban trap portal, and the guard isn't letting you out anytime soon. Unfortunately, nether stasising has been made way easier with this nether stasis design by Hi There. You just align yourself at the correct angle and throw the pearl, so unfortunately that benefit is gone. But while stasis prevention is pretty much not a benefit anymore, I've found another benefit in nether prisons. Because you aren't supposed to get onto the nether roof, a portal can't generate on top of it, meaning the only way in or out of the prison is this portal or the guard's respawn anchor. This is the same reason the nether roof is chorus fruit proof as well. On top of all of the benefits I mentioned in my previous prison video, I don't see a reason not to build your prison on the nether roof anymore. However, if you want me to talk more about this, show off your prison, or just discuss prison making in general, consider joining my Discord server. It's pretty new and I'm trying to get it off the ground, so joining would be greatly appreciated. But what are the improvements I've made from the last prison to make sure that no one is getting in? The prison is surrounded with 8 different chunk bans, with a suicide chunk ban in the center that can be activated by the guards. If anyone tries purling in from the floor, they will either trigger the string at Y1, or the observers if they portal in below the nether roof. There's also a roof alarm with multiple different layers that triggers if you try digging straight down. The entire first decontamination room is checked for redstone lines you can purl into, or crevices you can get into, and there's even a player detector if you try to pearl glitch up. The suicide chunk ban can't be blown up from the roof and can't be jammed from below. The prisoner is killed every 8 hours by this hopper clock and TNT, meaning that you can't mine a single block in the cell. This is also why, as I mentioned earlier, a regenerating cell isn't needed. The Elder Guardians actually work this time thanks to some command block work by Crisp. The prison can't be chunk banned because then this auto panic would go off and the entire prison would be chunk banned along with the guards. Finally, when a lockup or visitor process is happening, you are constantly being watched by a guard and a composter glitch, while a warden guides you through. And when the prison is offline, the guard is in the composter glitch and the warden is next to the alarm and the suicide lever. Now let's get into the fun part. First, a zone protection item is placed in this item frame, which keeps everyone inside of its range safe, but chunk bans anyone who steps inside. When the guard turns off the trap portal and activates the inside portal, the prisoner enters and immediately gets chunk banned. This is to confirm that there is no one sneaking in with the prisoner. The ZPI is removed, the portal is closed, and they'll be pushed to their near death. Then they get trapped and right-click this respawn anchor and get kill checked by these fireworks. They then respawn inside of this tiny pocket, go through this netherite door, and this pressure plate double checks that there is no one traveling with the prisoner. They will then be sent down into where 2 paths diverge. The prisoner goes to the left path, right-clicks this respawn anchor, dives to lava, and respawns in the cell. The visitor goes through the same process as the prisoner, except for when the visitor gets to this point, they'll go to the right path instead of the left. They'll step onto this gold pressure plate that pushes them down into a 1x1 hole. They'll then fill up their inventory with pigstep, even in the offhand, to make sure that there are no items in the visitor's inventory. The visitor will get untrapped and right-click this respawn anchor. This anchor's only purpose is to take the visitor to world spawn when they die. This dropper will be filled with pigstep and this stair will open. And this can't be faked because the stairs will only open if all the pigstep is inside. The visitor will then walk up the stairs and wait for the prisoner to get trapped. The prisoner's trap will extend and they'll be killed with TNT. And only then is the visitor allowed to enter the cell. When the visit is over, the visitor will be killed and sent to world spawn, and the prisoner will be untrapped.